psychologist. Today, I want to talk about sexual education for children. It's a very taboo subject, and so many of families are afraid of talking about sexuality with their children. But the first important thing is that you should know, if you as a parent, if you as a father and mother, if you are not ready to give the information to your children, so then they don't have any other choice except getting this information outside from those sources which are not valid. So, the first thing is that you should not be afraid to share the information with your children. But what kind of information should we share with them? And in which age? Actually, sharing sexual information with children doesn't have any age. This means from the first day of the birth and from the first day that the child is talking and walking and can communicate, you are able to share this information. From where you should start? You should start from the most important part, which is secret and privacy. What does secret and privacy mean? There are so many of families that they are trying to say to their children directly and indirectly that talking about sexuality and your personal sexuality organs are secret. It's a big mistake. You shouldn't say to your children that the sexuality organs are secret. Actually, nothing is secret. They should be allowed to talk about it. Because if you give this idea to them that it's a secret, in future, if anybody misuse them, abuse them, or try to use your children in sexuality way, they feel sense of guilt and they feel it's a secret and you should not share it with others. So the first rule is you should say to your children that the sexuality organs is not secret, but it is private. It's your privacy. What does privacy means? It means that except you, nobody is allowed to touch them. But where are those privacy areas? You should say to your child that the private organs and a privacy is in your genital area, which is front and back, and the breast area, and the lips. These are the area that nobody is allowed to touch. If anybody wants to touch it, that person is just parents and doctors or those people who wanna help you. And you should also say, even the parents and doctors, if they want to touch this area, before it, they should do two actions. First, they should explain for you why they want to do that. And second, they should get permission. This means if I, as a parent, I want to touch your genital area, at first I should explain it that I want to clean you, and cause you are not able to do that, I'm going to touch your bottom or I'm going to touch your breasts. And second, I should get permission. Am I allowed to do that right now or no? So it is the first things and the first concept which is so important in sexual education for children. Telling them that sexuality and areas of, the sexual organs, they are private, not secret. Another thing is that you should say to your child that when it's private, it's not just in your body. For everybody it's private. This means that you should not also touch others people's organs and other people's privacy area. And if anybody asks you to do it, you should immediately refuse it and then share it with your parents or your adult or anybody who is around you. You should give the news to your teacher or others that, for example, this person asked me to touch his privacy area. So it is the first step. What is the next one? The next one is that you should know, you should never create sense of guilt in the children when you are talking about sexuality. Some parents, they think that if they speak freely and openly about sexuality, they are helping the child to increase and develop sexuality faster. It's not right. You should remember that as much as freely and as much as easy and without sense of guilt you talk to your child about sexuality, the risk of sexuality issues such as abuse or any other risk in his life get down and it's get reduced. So another point is that how should I explain my child sexual questions? What does it mean? This means if my child asks any question connected to sexuality, how should I answer it? Some parents, they think that it's end of the world. But for answering the sexuality question in children, you should follow some tips, which the first one is always say the truth. Never lie to children. Like if the child is asking, how did I burn? You shouldn't say that the birds brings you, or I don't know, we bought you from hospital, or we found you, or any other question which is not logic, any other answer which is not logic. You shouldn't answer the questions of children by some answers which is not logic. Maybe you think my child is not old enough to understand, but one day he will be old. One day he understands that my parents lied to me. And then he loses his trust in you and he sees you as a bad source and a source of information which I can't trust. So, in that case, if you go to that area in child brain, you lose the connection. From other side, if you don't answer the questions of your child, it doesn't mean that these questions get vanished. No, the child goes outside and try to find the answer in other sources, which cannot be as trustable as you. But what are those questions? One of the most important questions can be, how did I burn? And how should you answer? It doesn't make difference how old is your child. What do you answer if an adult asks this question? Definitely you will say, you burn through your mother, and you will explain the process of birth. You should do the same with your child. Just you can use a language which is easier and the child is able to understand it. This means you are able to say to your child that you grew up in my stomach or in my feet, you were in the fetus, and then you slow keep growing up, and then one day when it was the time, with help of the doctors and nurses and other specialists, we went to hospital and they delivered you, and then you came out from delivery area which children get through it to the life. And if the child asked that, okay, how did it happen? You can say that when two people are in love, like me and your father or me and your mother, they start to show these loves to each other. And then after getting closer to each other and sharing their love, the child gets bored. I mean that in this area, you have explained to your child what is right with his own languages. But there is very, very, very important tips, which before explaining any question, you should do that. And that's it. You should ask the child, what do you think? Why? Because when you are asking the child, what do you think? You give this chance to yourself to understand what is the child's current knowledge about this sexual question. When you understand it, then you can give another information which is right and proper for his age. In term of languages, because whatever he asks, you should answer. Another question that children can ask frequently from the parents is that, when is my time to have a child? Or when can I be a parent? Okay, so in that time, again, you should say the truth. You should say to the child that when you grow up enough and you find a person who you love, and then you feel that you can share your life with her or him, you can marry or you can start your partnership, and after that, when you are ready, you can decide to have a child as well. Another thing in sexual education, which sometimes parents are facing with, is that, is it right we make a joke with sexuality or no? See, if you want to talk about sexuality with your children, you should avoid of making joke with genital area or with the privacy area. Some parents, they think that by making joke about genital area or by making some joking about the names or not telling the right names, it can be, the best way to escape from it. But it's not. You should never make a joke with that, because, if your child asks you what is the name of this part, you never make a joke. You say it's eyes. Or if they ask that what is, for example, the name of this part, you will say it's hand. You never make a joke with it. So in the other area also, in sexuality area also, you shouldn't make a joke. You should take it so serious. Another thing is that, remember that if the child asks why I am different, or what is the name of this part, you should know that, again, you should say the truth. A name which is proper in your own languages for calling that organs. Like in English, you can say that this is sexual organs, or it is penis, or blah, blah. So you can say the exact name of this organ in scientific ways. And if the child said, why I am boy, or why the other one is girl, you can say again the right answer, which is because in the process of your born, the X or Y chromosome get changed, and then you became girl or you became boy. And you should give this feeling to the child that there is no difference between you and the girl except sexuality difference. For the last thing, remember that talking about sexuality with children is their right. You know that if you don't educate them in this area, this means you left a very wide gap in their mind, and anybody else in the street can feel it. So don't be afraid to talk about sexuality with your children, and always